Inception was the movie, and it really kind of got me thinking about some stuff. Really profound movie. If you guys haven't seen it, basically it's about a character named Dom. Basically goes into people's dreams and steals information from their dreams. He gets hired by this Japanese guy to go um, to commit inception into a young man's mind to convince him to break apart his father's company. All the while, he's mourning the loss of his wife, and he's missing his children. Apparently, he's a fugitive for doing these dream crimes or whatever you want to call them. I've already forgot what they called them in the movie. But basically, if you get sedated too much, if you get too much drugs and are sedated too deep in sleep and you die in the dream, you go into this sort of limbo. And he was stuck in this limbo for 50 years with his wife. Stuck in this limbo for 50 years with his wife, and they grew old together. And basically, he did inception on his wife, implanted some a thought into her mind to make her know that where they were living at the time wasn't real. It was just the limbo state of dream that you go into once you get sedated too heavily. Um, she this wasn't an original thought, by the way. This was a thought that he implanted into her head. That's what Inception is. That's the title of the movie. Um, and we'll make the long short story short. His wife committed suicide because she thought that the world that they were in was still the dream world, and she wanted to be in the real world with their real children. He tried to convince her that it was the dream world or that it was the real world, and she jumped off of a building and killed herself. At the end of the movie, he gets the job done and they succeed, and he finally gets to go home and see his children because apparently the Japanese guy had a lot of pull, and he basically made a couple of phone calls and made it so the guy could come back into the United States with all the stuff clear. But there was one thing at the end of the movie that kind of tugged on me a little bit. They have something called totems in the movie. And basically a totem is something that you keep close to you, that only you hold, that separates the real world from the dream world. And at the end of the movie, his totem was a top. It was a top. And he spun the top, and it made it seem as if the top didn't stop spinning. And that would indicate that the entire time, the entire thing that he was doing, all these things that he was doing was still within within a dream. And that his wife was right. This this brings up a really profound point that I've come into contact. I don't know if contact is the right word, but there was a philosopher. I don't know if you want to call him a philosopher or a religious person, but his name was Georgius. And well, I don't even know if I'm pronouncing his name right. Georgius. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Georgius. Gorgias. Georgius, the philosopher. Basically, what Georgius says is that nothing exists, and if something does exist, it's it's incomprehensible. Meaning that we can't even think it. We can't even understand to think it. And if one person can comprehend it, then it's incommunicable, which means that it can't be explained. And if even if it could be explained, it doesn't really matter anyway. That and this movie that I just got finished watching really made me think about the very the very the very meaning of what it is to be to be real. What is real? What is your definition of real? What is this? What is this existence? What is real? Is this real? And I mean, this isn't a religious argument because I'm not a really religious guy. So I'm not looking at people say, oh, we're in hell, or we're in heaven, or this world is what you make it. I mean, really, are we really living in an existence that is, you know, an existence that is the the very foundation of any other layers that we add onto it. Are we living at the foundation of existence, or is this just is gravity, is matter, is um space, time, is all that just a fabrication, an illusion created by a single entity or several different ones, or a subconscious entity? Oh man, I stayed up and I watched the movie, I'm going to have to watch it again because I mean that was the movie was something else. Um, and it really it conjures up feelings and and thoughts of the Matrix. What 12 years ago when I went to go see the Matrix for the first time, and 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 even in my early 20s, or even I think it may have been my late teens, I was still taken, and and I don't want to say mystified, but I was compelled um to ask questions about the very fabric of what it is we call reality. Because I mean, pain feels real, life feels real, everything in it feels real. But but are there phenomena? Are there things that people outside of the dream are trying to tell us to get us to wake up? I don't know. I know this might sound a little insane or a little crazy. I've all grown up my entire life. I've never been a guy known to fit into um, status quo, or the acceptable influence, or whatever you want to call it. I've always been kind of a guy who dealt with abstract ideas. Always, my entire life, ever since I was little, got me picked on a lot. But uh, I really would like to know people's thoughts and opinions on this, because I mean, I'm perplexed, and for a guy his entire life to know himself as well as I do, and to have a pretty firm grasp on who I am. That movie that movie shook me. It shook my very soul. It shook the very thing that I feel that makes me, you know. And if anybody has seen it, or if anybody knows any other philosophers or anybody else who talks about um um the dichotomy between reality and the illusion of reality, I'd like to know, because this was a good one. This movie was good. Makes me want to go back and watch The Matrix a little bit more. But I mean, this movie was good. I mean, think about this. Think about this. Most people have seen The Matrix, right? Now imagine that. Okay, Neo wakes up from the dream and he's in the real world. Okay, he wakes up from the dream and he's in the real world. But say the real world was a dream within a dream. So the world he believed he woke up to was nothing more than another dream state. That's absolute insanity. I mean, it's insane to think that. Well, that's pretty much it. I don't want to take too much of people's time with the video, but but if you can find a way to wrap your mind around the concept, and I'm not calling anybody stupid or anything, or saying that anybody is they can't perceive what I'm talking about, but there there are some people who aren't going to understand what I'm talking about here. I'm only asking for the people who have maybe put some thought into what I'm saying to respond, because I mean this is a a profound argument at the highest level, and quite frankly, it affects every person alive, every person living right now. It affects them. So thank you, and I'd like to see your feedback.